We will now discuss basic algebraic operations on the matrix, starting with addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction of matrix basically follows a simple law that you add the corresponding elements or subtract the corresponding elements of the matrix. So if A and B are two matrices which are being added to yield a new matrix C, so Cij, that is ij element in the matrix C, would be Aij plus Bij, that is the sum of the corresponding elements of the two matrices. Same goes for the subtraction. If P is being subtracted from matrix A to yield matrix C, so Cij would be Aij minus Bij. This can be illustrated using this example. So we have matrix A which is 2 cross 2 and matrix B which is 2 cross 2 as well. It must be noted that for addition and subtraction to be performed, the two matrices should be of the same order. So if it is an m cross n matrix, this should be an m cross n matrix as well, and the resulting matrix is m cross n as well. Same is true for addition. So this is a 2 cross 2 matrix and this is a 2 cross 2 matrix as well. So addition and subtraction can definitely be performed, and that is what we are required to do. So when we add them, A plus B is basically addition of the corresponding entries of A and B. So 10 gets added to 30 because this is element 1 1, that is the element on first column and first row. This is also the element on the first row and first column of A, so they get added. 30 plus 10 equal to 40. Similarly 20 is added to 3 to yield 23, and 10 is added to 3 to yield 13, and 6 and 1 being corresponding elements in the two matrices are then added to yield 7. So this is A plus B matrix. A minus B is obtained similarly by subtracting corresponding entries of B from the corresponding entries of A. So 30 minus 10 gives us 20. This is the first row, first column entry for A minus B matrix. Then 20 minus 3 is 17, and 10 minus 3 is 7. 6 minus 1 is 5. So it must be noted that A plus B and A minus B are 2 cross 2 matrices as well. As we said, the sum and subtraction matrix C has the same order as that of the matrices A and B. We would now talk about multiplication operations in matrix. First is the scalar multiplication. So if we want to multiply a matrix A by some scalar, say 3, we multiply each of the element of that matrix by the same scalar. So if A is this matrix, then 3A would be 3 into 30 90, 3 into 20 60, 3 into 10 30, and 3 into 6 18. We can also multiply one matrix with other, but we must keep in mind that for an m cross n matrix, we can multiply it with some n cross p matrix. That means the number of columns in the first matrix should be equal to the number of rows in the second matrix. So if it is A and this is matrix B, A cross B would be a valid operation only when this condition is met, that the number of columns of A is equal to the number of rows of B. Matrix multiplication is a complex procedure, and basically if we have two matrices as shown here, so A is 1 minus 1 and 2, 0, 3 and 4, and B is 2, 7, minus 1, 1, 5, minus 4. So this is a 2 cross 3 matrix, and this is a 3 cross 2 matrix. So number of columns in A is equal to number of rows in B, so these can be multiplied. So A cross B is a valid operation, and the multiplication would be, we multiply the first row of A to the first column of B, the corresponding elements get multiplied and then it is added. So 1 into 2 plus minus 1 into minus 1, that is 1, plus 2 into 5. So it would be 2 plus 1 plus 10, that is 13. So the element that is formed by multiplying the first row of A with first column of B would be the element that would be in the first row and first column of A cross B. So it would be here 13. Similarly, we will multiply the second row of A with first column of B to get this element, that is the one in the first column and second row. So when we do that, 0 into 2 is 0, 3 into minus 1 is minus 3, and we add to it 4 into 5, that is 20, so it becomes 17. Now when we multiply the first row of A with the second column of B, we get this entry, that is first row and second column of A cross B. So this is 7, 1 into 7, then minus 1 into 1, that is minus 1, we add them together, and then 2 into minus 4, that is minus 8. So all this added together is minus 2. Then we multiply second row of A with second column of A to get this element. So it becomes 0 into 7, 0, 3 into 1, 3, and 4 into minus 4, that is minus 16. So this is minus 13. So this is our product matrix, and it must be noted the order of this matrix is 2 cross 2, that is the number of rows in A and number of columns in B. So that's how we can handle any multiplication of two matrices, whatever their order be, as long as the number of columns in the first is same as the number of rows in the second. We will now study about the inverse of a matrix. Inverse of a matrix exists only for non-singular square matrices, that is square matrices whose determinant is not equal to 0. It is denoted by a raised to power minus 1, and when an inverse is multiplied by the matrix of which it is the inverse of, then we get the identity matrix. We will now discuss about some row and column operations. If we change any two rows of a matrix or any two columns of a matrix, then this change is denoted by Ri goes to Rj, that is row I now becomes row j, that is indicating that we have interchanged rows I and j. Multiplication of elements of any row or any column by a non-zero number, if ith row is multiplied by say k, which is a scalar, then this operation would be denoted as the ith row, that is Ri, goes to k times of Ri. So now the new Ri is k times of Ri. Addition of the elements of row or column, the corresponding elements of any other row or column multiplied by any non-zero number, the corresponding element of the jth row is denoted by Ri goes to Ri plus k times of Rj. So we have multiplied the elements of row j and then added those elements to the corresponding elements of row I to obtain the new row I. The same operations can also be applied to the column in the same way. In that case, we replace C by R. So Ci goes to Cj means I and jth column have been interchanged. Ci goes to k Ci would mean that all the elements of ith column have been multiplied by the scalar k, and Ci goes to Ci plus k Cj would denote that we have multiplied all the elements of jth column with the scalar k and added them to the corresponding elements of ith column, and this becomes our new ith column. And it must be remembered that if we multiply a matrix with the identity matrix of the same order, then we are left with the same matrix. So AI equal to IA equal to A. A very important application of the matrix concept in case of investment industry is that of calculation of the variance on a portfolio return when you have three securities in the portfolio. So in that case, this is how you obtain the variance for the portfolio return, by using this particular matrix multiplication. So you have a row matrix, then a square matrix, and then a column matrix. This is the weight of each of the security in the portfolio, and let us take up an example to understand this better. You've been given 3 asset portfolio with the following details: S1 square, S2 square, and all other values that are required in the matrix have been given here. We need to calculate the volatility of the portfolio using matrix algebra. It must be remembered that volatility is same as variance of the returns, so we are required to calculate the variance of the portfolio return. We have also been given the weight of the different securities in the portfolio. So we have basically been given all the values that we need to compute this matrix multiplication. So we first multiply these two matrices, and then the resulting matrix is multiplied with this matrix to yield this result, because it's basically the product yields us a 1 cross 1 matrix which has just one element, which is this. So this would be the variance of the portfolio return. We can obtain the standard deviation or the risk associated with the portfolio by taking an under root of the variance. The positive value of that under root would give the standard deviation or the risk, and when we do that, we get 0.1179 as the value, which is basically 11.79. So this is how matrix is made use of in the investment industries. There are several other applications of matrix concepts. We can express this matrix of the variance and the covariance terms in this particular form, where R denotes the correlation coefficients. So when we substitute the variance matrix in this form in the equation for the variance of the portfolio, we get this matrix multiplication relationship for the variance calculation. Thus we can alternately use this expression also for calculation of variance. Let us also see what happens in case of a quadratic function. So if we are trying to calculate the Hessian matrix for a quadratic function, that is we are basically calculating the second order derivatives of the function and putting them in a matrix form, and since it's a quadratic equation in two variables, it would be of the form 2 cross 2. So it would consist of terms del 2f by del x squared, del 2f by del x del y, del 2f by del y del x, and del 2f by del y square. So once we calculate the derivative, second order derivatives of this function, del 2f by del x square would be 6 and del 2f by del x del y is 2 and del 2f by del y del x is 2 again, and del 2f by del y square would be 12. So this is the Hessian matrix that we have obtained. If you have any doubt on how to calculate the partial derivatives, you can visit the section on calculus. It describes each of this process in great detail. So now that we have this, we can also express the function in the matrix form like this. So once we open this matrix, we will get a 1 cross 1 matrix which has only this as the element. So we express this as a matrix multiplication form. So this matrix is basically half of this matrix, the Hessian matrix. So half of the Hessian matrix gives us the matrix form of the quadratic equation. This must be remembered.